Australia is a land full of astonishing and unique creatures. Annually, koalas bring over $1 billion worth of revenue to the Australian economy through tourism. International tourists fly from every corner of the globe just for the chance to meet these adorable teddy-like creatures. Despite koalas being such an icon for our national heritage, most of their struggle as a species goes unnoticed by the public. It is estimated that the koala has been here for at least 4 million years. During the time of English settlement, koala population was absolute abundance. These days, unfortunately, the koala is facing the dangers of extinction. The species is under extreme threat due to motor vehicle trauma, domestic and invasive species, climate change, bushfires, and more importantly, habitat fragmentation, habitat loss, and disease. It is difficult to determine the exact population number of koalas in Australia due to their cryptic and elusive behaviour. However, it is estimated that there has been a 51% decline in less than 3 years and a 64% decline in the last 10 years since monitoring has become prevalent. Disease is a huge risk to the koala population. Koalas can contract chlamydia, but a different strain that affects humans. It can lead to eye conjunctivitis, blindness, infertility, and even death. Roads and development have caused fragmentation of land, breaking up koala habitat into smaller sections. Koalas brave enough to leave their segments are at risk of facing road trauma. The alternative would mean staying isolated and reproducing with their own colony. This would create an inbred population with low genetic diversity. Climate change is yet another issue, threatening the survival of the koala. Increased carbon dioxide levels and temperature is causing eucalyptus to steadily lose its nutritional value and digestibility. This means decreasing food source. Eucalyptus forests are the main provider of habitat for this marsupial. Although the koala is a protected species, the habitat is not. The tearing down of trees for development in an area where koalas are vulnerable does not require federal environmental approval, and once their home is destroyed, it is not easy for the koalas to relocate, as colonies can be quite territorial. All of these pressures have led to a major decline in koala population, particularly in the last decade. Each year, wildlife hospitals and rehabilitation centres have been involved with treating and releasing hundreds of sick and injured koalas who have faced these issues. In an attempt to save the koala population, previous conservation strategies managed to identify key threats to the species. However, it did not have a clear process for implementing course of action. This conservation effort was not successful at putting their ideas to action. The 2009 to 2014 National Koala Conservation and Management Strategy uses the information from this unsuccessful 1998 strategy, plus uses recent research on climate change. The new strategy goes up one step further than the last, implementing plans aiming to identify and protect koala habitats, develop national guidelines for road and design in koala habitats, develop guidelines for carrying the koala's captivity, and provide for greater community involvement in this conservation efforts. There are many new ideas of how to help wildlife without interfering with humans' inevitable development. Wildlife crossing bridges have been implemented in other countries and have proved to be very successful in restoring ecological connectivity. Bridges like this could help to decrease injury and even death from road trauma as a main threat to koalas.
One of the things that the government can do is actually ensure that when they log state forests, they do it sustainably and they do it with biodiversity and the creatures in that forest in mind. So what they're doing now is literally clear felling a lot of the forest, and they'll leave a couple of trees, which are actually not the preferred feed tree of a koala. That means that koalas that were there can't come back. But sustainably logging a forest means that you can take some of the trees out, some of the trees that are good timber trees, but not completely trash the whole forest, and enable the species and the koalas to move to one patch of forest while you're logging that bit, and then ensuring that they have trees to move back to. So this isn't happening at the moment.
The Koala Foundation has formed a campaign called the Koala Army in hopes of getting a Koala Protection Act passed.
The Koala Protection Act is simple. No tree, no me, don't cut the trees down. And if you, Mr. Developer, own a piece of land and you want to cut those trees down, you can't until you prove your activities benign.
If we're going to have a massive change in how we manage koalas, it's really going to have to be a political approach where the community at large pushes the pressure up to make that happen.
They're iconic. They're known all over the world, and they, along with the kangaroo, represent the animal fauna of this country. And how disgusting would it be if we lost them? How ashamed should Australia be if we lost these animals? And they're just beautiful. They're just wonderful creatures. Can't we just have something here because they're just wonderful?
What we continue to fail to see is that without nature, there is no us.
The ethical justification for biodiversity conservation is that one species on Earth does not have the right to drive others to extinction. Koala species has endemic values including their economic value, aesthetic value, cultural value, and their importance as a component to Australia's biodiversity and support to a variety of other native species. While the many dedicated researchers, conservationists, and government authorities are doing what they can to protect this iconic Australian animal, the power is also in our hands. You can help protect the koala by joining the Koala Army at www.savethekoala.com and making this issue political.